The gospel world was shaken to its core after the heartbreaking news of Mama Mosie Burks' passing. People cried, prayed, and filled churches across the country to honor the life of a woman who had become more than just a singer. She was a symbol of hope, faith, and power. But just as the tributes started pouring in, something unexpected came to light. You won't believe what came next. Behind the hymns, hallelujahs, and years of worship, Mama Mosie had left behind something no one saw coming, a secret that would soon split her world in two. Mama Mosie was known as the beating heart of the Mississippi Mass Choir. Her voice brought people to tears, lifted souls, and gave strength to those who felt lost. She never needed fame or awards. Her presence alone was enough to fill a church with power. But as people mourned her, something started to spread behind the scenes. A whisper, a rumor, and then confirmation. Mama Mosie didn't just leave behind memories and songs. She had also left behind a hidden fortune worth millions. This is how the story took a wild turn. While everyone believed she lived modestly, quietly serving God and singing his praises, the truth was that Mosie Burks had made some very smart choices. She had investments, land, royalties, and rights that added up to more than most people ever guessed. It was all kept private until her will was released. And this is where it gets interesting. A short statement from her lawyer revealed that every single dollar of her estate was being donated. Yes, all of it. No family member was named, no houses passed down, no gifts to close friends. The entire fortune was going straight to faith-based missions, youth shelters, and gospel outreach programs across the South. People were stunned. Family members were silent at first, then furious. Fans were confused. How could she leave behind everything she had and give it to strangers? But the craziest part, she didn't leave behind a single item for the people everyone expected to be mentioned. Not her beloved choir, not her niece who took care of her, not even her nephew who had publicly said he helped her during hard times. She left them all out. Completely. No explanation, at least not in the will. Whispers turned into gossip. People who once praised her started questioning her. Some said she wasn't in her right mind. Others hinted that someone might have influenced her to make that shocking decision. But then, Tamela Mann stepped forward, and this is where the story took an emotional and powerful turn. Because what Tamela shared next made people stop, cry, and rethink everything they thought they knew. Tamela Mann had stayed silent in the days following Mama Mosie's passing. While the world was busy reacting to the will, pointing fingers, and spreading rumors, Tamela kept herself away from the noise. Many believed she was simply mourning, lost in her own grief. But in truth, she was preparing to speak. And when she finally did, the entire gospel community fell silent to listen. She didn't come with a lawyer or press team. She sat in a dimly lit room with a single candle by her side and spoke from the heart. Her voice was shaky, but her message was clear. "Y'all," she said softly, "Mama Mosie didn't leave anybody behind. She left us everything we needed, just not in the way some of us expected." That single sentence hit deep. Tamela went on to explain the private talk she had with Mama Mosie in the last few months of her life. She said Mosie wasn't worried about fame or even her health. She was heartbroken by the people closest to her. According to Tamela, Mosie told her she felt like some of her family had started to treat her like a bank. They didn't visit unless they needed something. They didn't check on her unless they wanted money. And that's when she made up her mind. She wasn't going to leave behind something for people who only saw her as a paycheck. Instead, she wanted to give her final blessing to people who truly needed it. Tamela's words carried pain, but also peace. She said Mosie didn't want her name to be attached to courtroom battles and family fights. She wanted her legacy to reach kids who had voices but no stage, churches that were dying because they had no support, and young girls who could sing like angels but had no one to believe in them. That's why Tamela revealed Mosie had decided to give everything away, to plant seeds for a new generation. But this is where it gets even more surprising. Mama Mosie didn't just sign over her wealth at the last moment. According to Tamela, Mosie had been planning her final act for months. Quietly, secretly, and without telling even her closest friends, she had started building something much bigger than a will. And the first sign of it came when Tamela said she received a handwritten letter from Mosie just weeks before her death. In it, Mosie wrote, "If I go loud, they'll turn it into a headline. But if I go quiet, maybe what I leave behind will speak louder than I ever could." Let me tell you that one sentence has now become a message shared across churches, choirs, and gospel events nationwide. But what Tamela revealed next left fans completely speechless. Because, as it turns out, Mama Mosie's final gift wasn't just about giving money away, it was about building something that would live far beyond her. As Tamela's emotional message continued to spread online, many believed the story had finally reached its end. But they were wrong, because just when people thought they had heard everything, a new revelation came to light, one that had been kept in total secrecy until now. You won't believe what Mama Mosie had been working on behind the scenes. Months before her passing, she quietly launched a private project that would carry her legacy for generations. And this is where it gets interesting, because not even her closest friends saw it coming. Through documents obtained from a gospel outreach foundation in Jackson, Mississippi, it was revealed that Mama Mosie had donated nearly $1.7 million to establish a nonprofit called the Lift Every Voice Legacy Initiative. She did it all in silence. No press, no announcements, not even a whisper on social media. She didn't want attention. She wanted action. The mission of the initiative: to restore old abandoned churches, fund gospel music programs in schools, and create a scholarship fund for young singers and musicians who had talent but no opportunity. The craziest part? She personally funded the restoration of 3 historic Black churches in Mississippi and Alabama, each over a century old and previously shut down due to lack of support. She also helped build a music wing at a high school in rural Arkansas, which is now being renamed the Mosie Burks School of Worship Arts. And if that wasn't enough, she set up a trust that would sponsor 50 young gospel musicians every single year, starting in 2026. But she had one condition: no one could speak about it until after she was gone. According to Reverend Carla Jennings, a longtime friend and now director of the project, Mosie said something in her final days that stuck with her forever. She had whispered, "Rev, I'm not dying with a full bank account. While these kids out here got nothing but a dream and a phone, we start now." That was the day she handed over the first check, $250,000, with nothing but faith and fire behind her eyes. This secret project, now made public, sent shockwaves across the gospel world. Fans weren't just surprised, they were moved. People from churches, choirs, and youth programs started reaching out, wanting to help continue what Mosie had started. Her act wasn't just generous, it was revolutionary. She didn't trust a big-name organization with her vision. She didn't wait for others to do the work. She made sure the seeds were planted herself with her own hands before she left this world. But while many praised her final gift, not everyone was happy. In fact, what came next threatened to destroy everything she had built. Just when it seemed like Mama Mosie Burks' story would end with peace, purpose, and praise, a dark cloud rolled in. Family members who had stayed quiet at first suddenly came forward, but not with love or support. Instead, they filed a legal challenge against her will. Yes, the very people who had been left out were now accusing Mosie's closest companions of manipulating her in her final days. Destiny took an unexpected turn, and the legacy Mosie tried so hard to protect was now at the center of a bitter courtroom battle. 2 relatives, a niece and a great-nephew, officially submitted documents claiming that Mosie was not of sound mind when she made her final decisions. They suggested she was influenced or pressured into donating everything. The petition even named Tamala Mann and Reverend Carla Jennings, demanding they be questioned about Mosie's health and state of mind. The family wanted the entire will overturned, the donations stopped, and the fortune brought back under their control. But the people closest to Mosie weren't staying silent. Reverend Carla stood outside the courthouse with tears in her eyes and told reporters, "It's sad when people can't respect her final wishes just because they didn't benefit from them." Tamala Mann also responded on social media with a powerful message that went viral. It's not about what she had, it's about what she gave. Some folks are more upset about the money than they ever were about the ministry, and that tells you everything you need to know. Still, the legal process moved forward. Lawyers examined the will and reviewed all documentation. And here's the truth. Experts said the will was airtight. It had been notarized, signed, witnessed, and even reviewed under medical supervision. Mama Mosie had taken every step to make sure no one could undo her final act. But despite all that, the legal fight created chaos. And sadly, it caused more harm than most people realize. Because of the lawsuit, many of Mosie's donations were put on hold. Her scholarship fund was frozen. Church restorations were paused, and the youth programs she had worked so hard to support were now stuck in limbo. The very blessings she wanted to give were trapped in a legal battle she never wanted. It was a painful twist. While Mosie had tried to give life with her final breath, others were trying to take it away out of greed, jealousy, and anger. But in the middle of the courtroom drama, something beautiful started to rise. A hashtag Honor Mosie, began trending across social media. Gospel artists, fans, churches, and believers from all walks of life began raising their own funds to keep Mosie's mission alive. Tribute concerts were held. Youth worship nights filled churches. Choirs sang her songs in her memory. It was a movement, one that couldn't be stopped by lawsuits or bitterness. Because no matter what happened in court, one truth stood tall. Mama Mosie Burks didn't just leave behind a will. She left behind a calling. She had lived her life with love, humility, and purpose. She didn't care about luxury cars or big headlines. She cared about faith. She cared about future generations. And when the time came, she gave it all away, not to be praised, but to make a difference. In the end, she didn't leave behind gold or mansions. She left behind something far more powerful, a living testimony, a message, a challenge. So now the question is for us, should legacies always stay in the family, or is it more powerful to give them away where they're needed most? Mama Mosie gave her answer. Now it's time we carry it forward, because she gave us the song, and now it's our turn to sing the next verse.